acknowledge that we were founded on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Attawandaronk, the Mississauga and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and now live on land that is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We have many representatives working across this land now known as Ontario, and we acknowledge that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory. We are grateful to be able to work and live on this land, and thankful to the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial, and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. To continue to center reconciliation, we encourage our team, partners, students, and teachers to take time to learn about the lands they are currently on. Visit native-land.ca for more information.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. My name is Rachel, and I'll be your host from Farm and Food Care Ontario. Thank you for joining us for today's virtual food and farm field trip in partner with Ontario Sheep Farmers. I can't think of a better way to start the week than with a field trip. So today we'll be joined by Farmer Rodney, who raises sheep for milk production. On this tour, you'll learn what it takes to take care of a flock of milking sheep. Rodney will also showcase the latest technology and innovations that are shaping modern sheep farming. Rodney has recorded his tour in advance, but will also be joining us at the end for questions live from the audience. Let's get this started and get ready to answer all of your questions at the end of the video.
Good afternoon. I'm Rodney, and this is my family, my wife and 3 children, and our farm dogs here, I guess. I'm excited to show you our dairy sheep farm this afternoon. So let's step on into the barn here. So this is what we call our milk house, and this large container here is where we store the milk. And we store it at about 2 degrees Celsius, which is just a little bit above freezing. That's where it keeps freshest the best. So we'll move on out into what we call the parlor. And in this area here, we do the actual milking. But we're going to move right on into where we house the animals, and maybe at the end of the tour we'll come through the parlor here again and look at that a little bit closer. So we're going to show you the animals right now. We have about 1,000 sheep in the barn here at any given time. We have 4 pens. If you look across, there's about 250 animals per pen. You'll notice they're very quiet right now. They're very content. We'll maybe move on over here to my left. In this pen over here, we have our youngest animals in this barn. These animals are about 4 to 5 months old. They no longer need any milk from their mothers. They're just eating feed and water. They're happy little creatures. It's fun to watch them frolic around. Very content animals. I don't know if you can see those fans up at the ceiling. They're very large fans, and there's actually 11 of those fans. If you look all the way down the barn, even on a day like today, it's still cool outside, but they're running very slowly just to move a little bit of air. Makes for good ventilation. And then in the summertime, the sides of the barn open up all around us, and those fans automatically speed up as the temperature warms up, and it keeps the animals nice and cool. It's almost like air conditioning. So in the hot summer, it's actually more comfortable in the barn than outside, believe it or not. So one of the interesting features of our farm here is this machine right here. It's an automated feeding machine, and this is what actually feeds our animals. And this machine works very hard. It goes around the clock. It works around the clock at any time of day or night that I ask it to work. This is a machine called, we call him Rover. I don't know if you want to take a picture of Rover. That's his name. And if you look up here, you will see, we call them augers. And the feed comes out of these augers into this. It's a big hopper. And it enters the proper amount of various ingredients of small grains and so on. And then from here, it goes on over. You'll see this orange track. Follow it. It goes all around the barn, but on the very far side, do we want to take a walk over and we'll just show them the silos there. So the machine doesn't move very fast while it's working, but slow but steady wins the race, they say. Goes around the corner here. And then we have 3 different, we call them silos. The first one here is full of corn silage, and then the bottom 2 are for haylage, which is hay. And the machine knows exactly how many kilograms of each product that it needs to make the proper ration. It will make up to 5 different recipes or rations, and it will go out and feed them. So I'm going to introduce you to Courtney. She's my nutritionist, and we work very closely together to make the proper rations for our sheep so they get fed the right amount of the right products.
What is a ration?
A ration is a recipe. So the younger animals, they will get a different ration than the older animals.
Hi, everyone. So as Rodney said, my name is Courtney, and I'm a sheep nutritionist. So believe it or not, sheep have their own personal nutritionist that puts together a package of feed that's balanced according to the stage of production that they're in. So every group in this barn is eating a different ration depending on if they're milking, if they're in late pregnancy, mid-pregnancy, if they're a young growing animal. So basically, I take samples of Rodney's different feed stuff. So you got to see the silos, which would be holding haylage and corn silage. And then we have dry feed ingredients such as corn and special supplements. And using those ingredients, I put together in a package to meet their requirements, and the machine is going to mix it into a total package. So these sheep here would be sheep that are getting milked in the parlor, and they need quite a high level of nutrition to support a high level of milk output. So my job is to make them make milk, keep them healthy, allow them to get pregnant, and maybe allow them to grow if they're a young animal. Okay, so the machine has collected all of its feed ingredients. And basically how that works is I have samples on all of the feeds. I send them to Rodney, and then he programs them into this machine. It picks up certain weights based on how many animals it needs to feed. It mixes it in the machine, and then it's going to distribute it to the animals.
We're going to demonstrate to you how we milk sheep. So they come out of the main large pen here, and we'll open gates, and they come up to this point, and they can choose whether they come in to my left or to my right here. They'll come in here, and maybe something interesting to note is we feed them a little bit of corn. Maybe I want to just show them. Is there some feed on there? Yeah. You see those orange little kernels? Those are corn kernels. That's a real treat for the sheep, and they know that's there, so that's part of the reason why they want to come into the parlor. It's like candy for them, so they're very eager to come in. So they'll come in here, single file. The first sheep needs to go right down to the very end, and that will open up the next stall, and they'll keep filling up right up to here. Let's see, there's a sheep to my right. The next sheep comes in here, turns into here, and that will open up the last one here. So they will turn, the head is up there eating their little snack. So we have 28 sheep on this side, 28 sheep on this side when everything's full. So that's 56 sheep at once. So after the sheep are all in here, we take this milker down. We go like this. Each sheep has 2 teats. So we stick it on there. There's vacuum. You put it close by and it just sucks it right on. And the milk comes out into here, down through this line, into the pipe at the bottom. It actually goes around here and in through that wall and into the milk house that we had looked at the very start. Okay, here we are over in our lamb barn now. And my son Dawson, he looks after the lambs here, so I am going to hand over the microphone to him and he will explain to you what all happens in this barn. Actually, you can just hold it. There you go.
Hi, I'm Dawson. So this is where we house all our baby lambs. And we have as you can see, we have a robot that feeds them. This robot, it's going almost all the time. Yeah, you can see there's 10 lambs in a pen. And right now we should go see it mixing a batch. So it's adding water right now. Then mixes powder. And these lambs, so they'll be on their own milk for about 4 or 5 weeks. Then after that, they are weaned, and we take them out of this room and move them to another room. So these lambs here, they're a wee bit bigger. They're now weaned. Actually, they're about 5 weeks old, something like that.
Wow, that was a great look at what goes into caring for sheep and some of the technology available to sheep farmers. Remember to put any questions you have in the chat to be answered live. We've got Farm and Food Care team member Jessica on site behind the camera with Rodney, and they will be answering some of the questions you have. So I'm going to let them take it away.
Hi, Jessica here. We have our first question in, and this is Farmer Rodney. So I believe our first question is, how is sheep milk used and what products are made from it?
Hi guys, good to see you back again. So sheep's milk gets made mostly into feta cheese. I don't know if you've ever tasted feta cheese, but a lot of it gets made into feta cheese. Some gets made into a hard cheese, soft cheese as well. There's various products, and some of it gets made into yogurt as well. There's sheep's yogurt as well. So that's the basic products that gets made out of sheep's milk.
Okay, our next question is, how many sheep are you milking currently?
We are milking about 500 sheep currently.
How long does that take you?
Well, this morning I timed it about an hour and a half. We milk morning and evening.
Okay, that was our next question. How many times a day do you milk? Do you shear your sheep?
Yes, we shear our sheep. My son that showed you the video on the lambs, he's the fellow that does the shearing. We shear our sheep about 1.2 times per year.
And why is it important to shear the sheep?
Probably two reasons. One is for comfort. If you think of a sheep with a heavy coat of wool in the warm summer, that gets very warm for them. So it's for comfort, and for milking, it's much nicer to milk if there's not all this wool in the way. So cleaner milk.
So our next question is, does the shearing hurt the sheep?
No, it doesn't. They actually enjoy it. Maybe the first time they're a little nervous because they have no idea what's happening. But after that, they don't seem to mind it, and as soon as they're done, they're just pretty happy.
They probably feel a lot better not having to carry all that wool around.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Everybody is wondering, why is it so quiet in the barn? The sheep don't make a lot of noise in here.
Well, I give the credit to that machine that does the feeding. It feeds consistently, and so they, in a lot of barns, the sheep recognize the farmer as the machine or whatever that is going to feed them. So when they see the farmer, they connect that with feed. But now with the machine doing the feeding, I can walk in the barn at any time and they just look at me as whatever, but they don't connect me to feed, so they're not constantly bawling when they see me.
Never would have thought about that. The next question is, do you milk sheep all year round, or is it just for a 6-month period?
We milk sheep year round. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's get the next question. What is your favorite thing about sheep farming?
Good question. There's a lot of favorite things, I guess, or a lot of things I like about it, but I just simply enjoy it. I'm a farmer at heart. I'm married. I have 5 children, and it's a family thing. So we do this together, and it's just very enjoyable. My children, they all enjoy it as well.
Okay. Next question is, how does somebody get into milking sheep? It doesn't seem like a big market for it. Sheep milk is not on a quota system, right?
Correct. Yeah.
How did you get into milking sheep?
Another good question, and that goes back almost, I think, 17 years ago now that we started. It's actually a long story. I'll try and keep it as condensed as I can, but I had a brother-in-law that was milking sheep, and he wanted to go to Haiti on the mission field with his wife, and he wondered if we would milk his sheep while they were gone for about a 2-year period. So we did that, and then when he came back, he wanted his sheep back again, and then we enjoyed it so much, so we thought it's something we want to do as well. So that's how we got started. As far as how anybody else can get started, that's a big question. It's not easy. It takes a lot of money to get started. You need experience, and so the best thing is to work for a farmer that has sheep. That's a good place to start.
That's perfect. Let's see. Our next question is, how do you manage waste and manure from your sheep farm?
So we clean out our pens about 3 or 4 times a year, and it simply gets pushed out and put on a pile, and then every spring and fall we load it up on a spreader and we spread it out on the fields, and it's nutrition for the crops.
So all the manure and waste is actually being repurposed as nutrients to help grow feed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's like fertilizer for the crops.
What crops do you grow?
I will grow corn and hay, and sometimes if I have enough acres, I'll grow beans, soybeans, or wheat, but it's mostly corn and hay.
We have somebody asking, what do you use for bedding? They look so comfy.
So we'll use what we call straw. It's a product from wheat.
And how do you put the straw into the pens?
So I have, again, a machine that's attached to the front of my tractor, and I just go up and down the aisles, and I actually go up and down these feed aisles, and it shoots it out the sides into the pen, both sides.
Cool.
So it's not manual labor, thankfully.
What breed of sheep do you raise, and why did you choose that breed?
So they are a cross between East Frisian and Lacone. And the reason we chose those two breeds was because they're a dairy sheep. They produce milk, more milk than your regular meat sheep will.
How many times a year do you lamb?
We will lamb about 1.2 times per year. That goes along with the question, how often do we shear? We have a system that we shear them about 2 months before they have their babies. So, yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Okay, the next question is, what challenges do you face in the dairy sheep industry?
There's always challenges, some challenges at least, and it can vary. Probably the biggest challenge is taking care of all those baby lambs and doing a good job of it. My son does most of that, at least. He works very hard. It's just simply a lot of mouths to feed and a lot of babies to take care of. And maybe another challenge is the weekends, to have enough help around on the weekends to do all the chores.
Sounds like it's a lot of work
It is.
every day for you guys.
Yeah. 7 days a week.
What are the sheep fed, and can we see what their feed looks like? Would you be able to show us a little bit of it here?
So this is a mixture of corn silage and haylage. It'll have a supplement, which is like a small pellet mixed in there, which you can barely see, but it's what we call a TMR mixture, so it's mixed together very well. There's a kernel of corn. That'll be like hay, and then I don't know if I can pull out a bit of corn silage there. Yeah, that bigger leaf, that's corn silage. So it's a total mixed ration. That's why we call it a TMR, total mixed ration. And the reason we do that is so that they can't go through and pick out their favorite ingredients. They would like to pick out the grains and the supplement, but if they do that, their stomachs won't feel right. They need to eat like the stocky stuff as well. That's what keeps them healthy. A bit like Mom, she says you need to eat your vegetables, right?
Can't just have the sweet stuff.
That's right. That's right. So when we mix it all together, they can't sort, and that's what actually makes happy, healthy animals.
Awesome. Okay, next question. Do you have people you work with outside the farm, like your nutritionist?
Good question. My veterinary, if I have any problems, I will connect with. She's a lady as well. Connect with her. Very, very helpful. I have another older fella that he'll come in and scan the sheep. He has it's like an X-ray machine, and he can see if there's lambs in their stomachs or not.
Amazing.
So that is very helpful. We do that about once a month. Do one group, maybe a group of around 100 or sometimes up to 200 sheep. So that is very helpful to help us know where we're at. And then I'll have some custom operators that come in and help me put the crops away to fill those upright silos.
So that busy time in the fall, they'll help you with some of the work there.
Because I don't have all the equipment I need to do that, so I'll hire some of that in. But other than that, we're fairly self-contained here, self-sufficient, I guess.
Do you process the milk into cheese yourself?
My wife gets a bit of credit for doing some of that. She will make cheese for our family, and I like telling her we live like kings. We can eat all the cheese we want, and it's very good cheese. So, but we don't make it to sell or anything like that.
So most of the milk would be shipped somewhere else and
Yes,
processed into cheese?
that's right. Yep.
Did you go to school for farming? How did you learn how to farm?
I grew up on a farm. My dad was a farmer. He didn't have sheep, so this is all new to me. I had to learn all of that. I didn't go to school necessarily to be a farmer. It's just by experience, I guess.
How has technology affected the way you manage your farm?
Well, it sure has an effect on how I do things and how I manage things. I would feel it certainly has improved performance as far as animal health evens because of consistency. This automated feeding, if it all works, which it's working well, consistency is something animals really like. Just a routine. They get fed basically the same minute every day, and they like that. So I will get more milk as well, more milk volume because of that feeding. So those are two benefits I see.
Okay, we have time for one more question. And my question to you is, what are your hopes for the future of your farm?
Good question. So what I want is for my sons to be able to farm as well. They enjoy it. I have 4 boys. I don't think they will all want to farm, but some of them will. I want to help them all get something going on their own. But the ones that want to farm, I want to see this carry on. And the one son that was showing you the video in the lamb barn, he's probably the son that will take this on someday. But as I get older, I still want to at least help along a little bit as I can.
Well, that sounds great, and they're really grateful for having something left behind for them and being able to spend time with their dad. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we have to head out?
Well, maybe one thing, and that would be, sheep milk is a product, and maybe there's a bit of a sales pitch. I don't know, but I'm serious about it. It is not very common in Ontario. It is in other parts of the world, but it's rather new in Ontario here. But it's a very healthy food as well. Our stomachs can digest it easier than some other foods, and I see potential for a lot of growth in the sheep dairy world. So I hope it's an industry that can simply grow and produce products that people can enjoy eating and tasting, I guess.
Well,
That's
that
about
sounds
all.
delicious, and we definitely encourage everyone to go and look for some local sheep's milk and sheep milk products in your local grocery stores. So thank you to everyone, and thank you to Rodney. We're going to let him go, and then have everyone can enjoy the rest of your day. So thank you to everyone who tuned into today's tour, and thank you to Rodney for hosting. We'd ask that everyone who tuned in today fill out a short survey. I'll be posting the link in the comments. If you fill that out, you will be entered to win an Ontario Fair passport, which gives you and a guest access to almost any agricultural fair in Ontario. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.